Once again, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. So this is a panel session. The idea of this panel session is to bring in internet service providers across the 6 geopolitical zones. The idea is to interact with them, find out their challenges and the opportunities in those remote locations. And recently, in fact, the minister has been talking about $2 billion loan, 90,000 kilometers across Nigeria. So it's for us to interact with each other and for you to ask questions. And if they are based on their challenges, maybe that could be an opportunity for some of us that are here and to understand their issues. So please permit me to ask each one of them to introduce themselves first and their roles, then before we now proceed. Brother, welcome. You can start from you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Moses. I'm the MD CEO of Greenfoot Global Resources Limited.
Based
from
where?
Delta State.
Delta State.
South, yeah.
Okay. This is afternoon, right? Okay, good afternoon. My name is Chinedu Onwemele. I'm the MD CEO of PHS Web out of Oka, Anambra State. Thank you.
Thank you, Chinedu. Next, please.
I am Saeed Awojide. I'm the CTO, Backbone Connectivity Network. We are based in Abuja, but we have a national network that we leverage on third partners. Thank you.
I am the CEO of BrowsePoint Telecom Nigeria Limited, based in Kano.
Thank you, everyone, for the introduction. So let me ask this question. You know, some of you operate in difficult terrains. Can you tell us about, let me start with Chinedu, about your challenges in terms of offering services to the end users? And how is the ecosystem there? And what do you think government can do, or the stakeholders that are here can do to assist in promoting internet ecosystem, internet access in those locations?
Okay, thank you very much. So I think I should start from when we started 2 years ago. The plan I had in my mind was to go back to my state of origin and set up something, no matter how small. So my mindset was put on one cell tower, put 4 sectors, Cambium radios, and then start connecting people, right? And then after about 30 customers per sector, it started dragging, right? I was like, this is not scalable. And then the Naira tanked. First 180, right, is almost 200,000 plus, almost 250,000. And customers are paying 90K for installation. How do you reconcile that? So immediately we knew we had to do fiber. We don't have the money to be digging up the grounds, and thankfully, Anambra State does free right-of-way. And some telcos have taken that up, right? But for us, it's still too expensive. We had to resort to aerial fiber, right? And then there's a large student community that would not want to pay 90,000 to you, and they pay 20,000, and there's no power. So how are they going to power those devices? So what we started doing was aerial fiber, and then when we get to the student's location, which is a high-density area, we have this solar-powered outdoor Wi-Fi, backhaul access points that that we used to supply to them, and then we charge them maybe 100 naira a gig, 6.5 a week, unlimited. And then that has its own traction, which we've been exploiting. But one way I feel the government, not necessarily government, but also individual businesses could help is if there's a form of grant. Because what we've been doing was to reinvest every little revenue we have, right? If we could scale it up rapidly, that would be able to get to underserved areas faster, and then the demand picks up. So yes, that is how we've been able to survive this while.
Excellent one. Thank you so much for sharing your experience. Please take note of that. If there's any question in the future, you can ask. BCN, I know you are in different locations in Nigeria and you are basically based in Abuja. What has been your challenges in terms of operating your business and reaching out to the end users, the customers?
Thank you for that question. Yeah, BCN is over 20 years, and our fiber optic network in Abuja is very ingrained. And I know most people coming from abroad, when they want to come to the north, they have to come to BCN. We have a reasonable amount of customer base. However, in terms of challenges, it's fiber cut. Fiber cut, fiber cut. And when those fiber do cut, customers, it impacts customers significantly. And I think that it will be nice to see how government can, I don't want to use the word, more like outsource our docs in such a way that professionals are protecting those cables from these cuts. Because over 70% of our cuts are due to vandalism, construction, waterboard, and they just do it carefree. And there's a law that's just been gazetted, this CIPM, making fiber optic cable a critical asset. But I think that law needs to be pushed in such a way that they create a national awareness, and all the telcos need to chip in so that we use social media, radio, all the media platforms to kind of educate the populace that fiber is very important. Once it cuts, hundreds of customers will be impacted.
So the frequency of the fiber cut, is it mainly from vandalism or the road construction? What is really like 80%, 70% of the fiber cuts comes from what? Vandalism? Intentional vandalism? Or government doing road construction and then there is disruption?
Yeah, from our data, construction is the majority.
So you can see that the government, and usually they are the ones building the roads and therefore on the process disrupt services. I had experience in that because they don't care. They don't really ask. They don't notify. It's only in Lagos sometimes that they want to work and they will notify you. But in most cases and in most states, they don't care. They are building their road. The contractor will just come and just dig, and that's it. It's left for you to come and fix, and they don't usually compensate. Do they compensate?
I wish they do.
You said?
I wish they do.
So you can see some of the challenges. So
Yeah,
we need to find ways, honestly, to engage with the state governors. I think this forum and maybe find a way using Alton, to find a way to really talk to these governors regarding the impact of this to businesses, because we can't continue like this. These are some of the service providers that are really pushing hard to reach the unserved and underserved areas. And unfortunately, they are not getting support. Apart from they are not getting support, to add salt to the injury, they are the ones causing the major disruption to the businesses.
Sorry,
Yes.
sorry for
Yes.
jumping in.
Yes.
Yes, the problem is big. However, there are success stories, right? Was it about 3 months ago? We got a notification from government that the road construction is going to take place. And when I saw that letter, I was like, wow. I was like, this is awesome. The notice came short. It was impromptu. They gave us like 3 days. Go and move your cable. And cable is not something you can just pick and move. You need time, you need to plan, you need to notify your customers so that they are aware of what's happening. However, they gave us notice. We went to site, we spent money to move the cable, impromptu, and suddenly they left the site. We didn't see them again. And just recently, they are back to site, right? So, however, there was one construction firm that I was thrilled. They literally, during the construction, they bypassed the cable. I have the picture. They literally bypassed it. And that's because we had our staff right there supervising and coordinating, so they didn't damage the fiber. And that's 1 out of a million cases. I wish every case is like that. Then we won't have to, and we spend a lot of money. when these cuts happen, we spend money to fix it, and our customers lose revenue, right? So I think government, as much as I don't want to throw them under the bus, I know they have a lot on their plate. However, fiber optic network is critical, and they need to see it as critical so that they engage their construction firms and put even sanctions so that they know that if we cut it, we're going to get a penalty for doing so.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience. Mukhtar? Yes. You have shared something, I'm not too sure. Maybe you can tell us some of the challenges you're facing in Kano.
Yes. Some of the challenge, I think there are two major challenges, like what he highlighted, fiber cuts. Fiber cut is a big issue, especially when you're going down to the underserved communities. The second thing is capacity. You see, because of lack of many ISPs down there, so to get bandwidth is very, very expensive. Very, very expensive. So even though we try to reduce and solve the issue of fiber cuts, that is by recruiting locals, and we did not put them in a salary, but if they sell internet, they get commissions. So they see that infrastructure as their own, or as their own way of doing business, so they protect it. So that reduces the frequency in which those cables were cut. So back to the major issue, which is capacity. Unfortunately, in that area, we have only few companies that have fiber from, let's say, Abuja or from Lagos to Kano. So either way, you have to go and meet those guys. Thanks to IXPN, we rely on them to break that problem. But these are the two major issues that we are having.
Thank you so much. So actually, you're reaching to the second leg of the interaction regarding peering ecosystem. So what about you, my brother, in terms of, you're providing internet services, right? Yes, so what are your challenges in what you do in the state?
The challenges we have mostly in the state is, but I can say about 80% of interference challenges, because we still do more of Wi-Fi connectivity. We don't do that much of fiber yet, but we still do fiber anyway. So on the fiber cut, it's not really that much until the recent times that we now have very good road constructions going on. So that's when we've been having a lot of fiber cuts now. But then we also have backhauls we use in managing in case of the failure of the fiber. We still have our network up on that one. So on the interference challenges we have in the south, in Delta State, it's because Delta State is a place where almost everybody wants to become an ISP. Yes, you know how to configure access point. You think, yes, you want to make some extra money, you just put up an access point and start distributing without having a license from the NCC. So we've been having a lot of congestion. So dealing with that has been a very core thing. Apart from that, we also have power issues. As you know, the cost of running a generator is really very high, especially the way things are now in the country. So then, even when you go back up on our solar system, it's still not easy to maintain that. So those are the core challenges that we have done.
You said everybody that wants to, I mean, there are a lot of organizations that wants to become internet service providers.
No, I said where every individual who thinks they can make money from that wants to be an ISP. I have internet in my house. Okay. Maybe I'm using Starlink, and I want to share it to everybody around.
Okay, I got what you're saying.
So everybody wants to do that. So I think maybe looking at the area of having a little bit of regulation in these areas would help.
Okay. Yeah. So in terms of, he mentioned internet access. Do you have so many providers, options when it comes to connectivity, like transit service providers? You are an internet service provider at a lower level, maybe an ISP that wants to provide to the community, but you have another ISP that gives you internet services, right? Are there many options of such internet service providers in Delta?
Yes. For ages, we've been depending on MTN, Airtel, Globe, which are the main carriers.
Okay.
And for the years, that's the reason why we had to bring in IXP and now to Delta State to start something there because we know if we have a cluster point, the capacity will, cost of capacity will drop. So they've been doing quite well there. I think they just started now in Delta State, just that we still don't have all the content from IXP yet. So we still need other providers. Okay.
Okay, so why I'm asking this question is that some of the internet service providers in other locations find it really expensive to pay for the internet access. That adds to their cost. And for some of them, what I heard is that even though they have the internet service provider, it keeps failing, and that is a major problem. For some of them, we've been trying to reach out. He just mentioned IXPN in Delta. We have been trying to see how we can expand IXPN into different locations in Nigeria. And one of the things we identified is that let me give you statistics now. In Nigeria, we have 300 organizations. In fact, less than 300 organizations that have what is called autonomous system number. You have to have an autonomous system number for you to have an identification and for you to be part of the internet. If not, you have to use your internet service provider. And if you look at the entire African continent, we have around 2,500 autonomous system numbers, the entire African continent. So Nigeria has substantial part of the population, and we only have less than 300 autonomous system numbers. If you look at it globally now, UK has more than 3,600 autonomous system numbers. The same thing with France. They each have maybe 60 to 70 million in terms of population. Brazil, out of the slides of Shayo today earlier, he mentioned Brazil, as a growing economy when it comes to data centers and the rest. Why? Because Brazil alone has almost 10,000 autonomous system numbers, 10,000 networks, while Africa is 2,500. That is 4 times. Brazil is 4 times the size of Nigeria when it comes to autonomous system numbers. So what IXPN is really trying to do is to see how we can support these small internet service providers from across Nigeria to see how they can acquire those autonomous system numbers for them to participate in connecting to the exchange point. So I'll give you an example. In Enugu, we were in Enugu a few years back. We had the link between Lagos and Enugu. We have a POP in Enugu. We provided free access to the exchange point so that internet service providers in that location can peer and get cheaper internet access. Unfortunately, we ran it for 4 years. 4 years, we couldn't get one internet service provider that has an autonomous system number to peer with IXPN in Enugu. And eventually, we had to shut down the POP because there was a link running and there was a running cost. So without us, as this community, that's why I'm explaining, finding a solution to this problem. And for government, how I wish government officials are here to see how they can intervene in this. Because some of the ISPs that are here, unfortunately, that are in Nigeria cannot even afford to pay $2,000 annually to Afrinic, which is equivalent to almost 4 million naira annually, just to have an autonomous system number from Afrinic. I don't know, Chidi, do you have an autonomous system number?
No, not yet. I started the process, and then when I heard the annual cost, I said, okay, hold up first.
So you can see some of the challenges that are stifling the growth of some of the community networks in Nigeria. So as we engage, I think we need to maybe find a solution to this problem, because as long as we don't have community networks, when you have 99% of internet traffic in Nigeria is all from a mobile devices, then really you cannot make progress. For people to take advantage of the internet, for them to have, unlimited data in their homes, to watch Netflix and to do all that, you need internet service providers that are close to the community. So whenever you have a challenge, they are there to solve it for you. So in terms of your peering, because right now I want to ask what are really the advantages of internet exchange point and what are their experiences in where they are to BCN, my brother. So can you tell us about your experience, their connection to IXPN, and if there is any advantage or disadvantage, you can say it here.
Oh, you've said it all already with the stats that you've provided. I'm glad to say BCN has an autonomous number. So again, access to internet is very important. And with that autonomous number, you would be able to provide service to all your clientele, either enterprise, FTTH, connectivity, anything, you'll be able to provide it. And again, the cybersecurity is very important, right? With that number, you'll be able to secure your network and be able to monitor it in such a way that you prevent the bad net from intervening into your network. So for me, the exchange point has been awesome. We've had some issues some time back, but it was quickly resolved. But it's very important. It's key to our operation.
What is the percentage of traffic that you are domesticating from Abuja through the exchange?
Yeah, about, I believe, 14 gig.
No, I'm not talking about the percentage of traffic. That is it 20% that is passing through IXPN? Is it 40% of your complete internet capacity that is passing through IXPN?
I'll say roughly about 65%.
65%. So why I'm asking this question, honestly, I have not spoken to him before or anything. So 65% of his traffic is going through the exchange, and that means significant cost reduction for him, as well as redundancy in case he has issue with his internet service provider. At the same time, part of the capacity that he's using, 65% of the traffic, will still pass through the exchange point. And that is the success story we want to replicate across Nigeria. What about you, my brother Mukhtar? Mukhtar actually set up an ISP when we were in Kano. When we set up the Kano exchange, there was only one internet service provider, ECNX. And later, another service provider came in called Megamo, and then his own browse point came in. And I was shocked with the volume of traffic I am seeing coming from browse point, even though it's a new service provider. So he must be doing something right, doing something innovative for him to really have good traffic at the exchange point. So what's your experience when it comes to IXPN in Kano?
Well, actually, IXPN has been a lifesaver, to be frank, because had it been we did not connect to IXPN, I don't think we can grow as fast as we are growing now. Because in some of our research before we start the ISP business, we realized that in our own area, we have micro users. They are the key. We have a lot of them. So we don't have, heavy data usage, people that use data all the time. They're just micro users. And they all rely on the major MNOs. So when we come in, we look at what do they access. Almost 60 to 40% they access the content that are domiciled at IXPN. Then we said, fine, that's great. We just connect to IXPN, then we set up access points across markets and then neighborhoods, and then recruit agents. We give them commissions. If you sell, you earn. If you do not sell, well, you don't earn. And I'm so glad people are enjoying it, and all the traffic that they're accessing is from IXPN. So it's a good system. But the trick aspect is now as the volume is increasing, so more capacity. We need more capacity, which I think we'll discuss how to increase that capacity, or probably bring in most of those caching servers that are in Abuja, maybe down to Kano.
Yeah, just to chip in I think he has mentioned capacity like twice or three times already. Where I believe collaboration would be able to enhance that. We're talking to some foreign players so that we can offtake capacity from Lagos and bring Lagos to Abuja. Imagine bringing Lagos to Abuja. We can now give you like 30 gig, 40 gig. By the time you get that, you can drop your price and be more competitive.
I think that will
Thank
be
you.
great.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Obina. So, you see, what we want to do is see how we can replicate this kind of success story in across Nigeria. We were in Anambra when is
About this time last year.
about this time last year, almost a year ago. We brought in all the key stakeholders in Anambra to discuss issues around setting up a POP in Anambra, to discuss with the internet service providers that are providing services in Anambra and how we can support them to really make progress and to acquire the autonomous system numbers. Unfortunately, up to now, we couldn't make any progress. So, my brother Chinedu, I want to find out really, since we left last year, how is the ecosystem when it comes to internet growth in Anambra? I saw you and I think 2 other internet service providers, around 3 of you. Are the 3 still functional? Has it increased? Why am I asking this question? So that we can know exactly the issues and find a way to intervene and support.
Okay, thank you very much. So, from last year, I could say when we started the business, we were buying 50 Mbps from Glo. That was 2 years ago. Right now, we're using 800 Mbps. So, it's growing. It's growing. And now that we found a way to make FTTH aerial very, deployment is cheap. Our technical guys, they do radio and fiber, mostly fiber now.
Okay.
So they're able to spread faster. So as it's growing, definitely we need to connect to IXPN. And we need to train more ISPs to migrate from fixed wireless to fiber, one way or the other. That is the only way we can push that amount of bandwidth far and wide.
Thank you for that question. My brother, from Delta, you have few service providers in Delta, right? I think they have autonomous system number.
Okay.
Am I correct, or you don't know?
No, I
How
do.
many like internet service providers do you have in Delta?
In Delta State, we should have up to 25 ISPs.
25.
Yes. I happen to know that because before 2015, we had to be in the business of setting up ISPs and training them. We didn't set up ISP. We just set up ISPs, base stations and all that. We trained them on how to run the business and how to, serve the clients. Until 2015, where we decided to say, okay, these people are not serving the people enough. So we got into it. Now, after setting up for the ISPs, we train them, and then we also bring them together once in a while, educate them on things. And like why your people were trying to come to Delta State, they had to discuss with us. We brought some of them together and told them the importance of having an exchange point in Delta State, which some of them had actually started keying into it. Now, there is something we did which was helping them. We created a platform that helped those who do not even have infrastructure that want to call themselves ISP. You get into that, you see provide service to them. So now, capacity has been a major problem, as in the cost of capacity. Right now, we use up to 4 STM. Just my own ISP now. I'm not talking about others. I can give you names of other ISPs and the capacity they use and how they get them. So we use 4 STM in Delta State alone: Warri, Sapele, Abraka, and Asaba. Okay, so now, still that's not enough to serve the people. People still ask for more capacity, and the only way out of it is to work with IXPN because the cost, the difference is really huge. The margin is a lot.
So thank you for that. I'm really surprised that you have up to that, but based on our analysis, I think we saw that there are only 3 internet service providers in Delta that have autonomous system numbers, and that's why we are trying to activate a POP in Delta, which will be live very, very soon. So before we proceed and round it up, can I open to the floor questions, to a panelist? Anybody that has question, please.
All right. Yeah, so thank you, panelist, Mr. Rudman. I am Blessed Ola Saint, DHA Digital. So my question is this, because I did a research around the digital sustainability, and I know digital sustainability in Africa, and I know that there are these three issues deal with if we will not be wasting money. Because you ask question, why do we spend more and getting little? The number one is digital literacy, and the number two is engagement across the grassroots with the leadership, the stakeholders. And the one is lack of collaboration among the ISP provider, the internet companies. So I want to ask, because like for our next year program, we're really considering that how do we discuss things like digital technology from urban to grassroots, and with a consistent forum. So how do we achieve this? That we can be governors, local government chairmen, the stakeholders, even while some are leaving office, because that is one of the things. If there is no proper sustainability and continuity, if a governor is leaving, an abandoned project, an internet project is abandoned, another person comes and God is one people, and before you know it, some of the things that will help or some of the policies that are on ground will be abandoned. How do a consistent body around the internet that can always monitor government, that can always educate, and that can always make things happen across the, like your movement, and in Anambra, for example, if there is a forum, you will have had a better result, because after like 1 year ago, you have a session with them. What is up? And how do you monitor this? And how do you engage the government and then the populace? Democracy, collaboration among the practitioners, and the good engagement with the government. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for the intervention. It's a long question, and I don't think, I don't know if any of the panelists wants to give an attempt to answer what he has said.
Can I quickly ask
you
my
want
question?
To say something? Okay. So just a second, please. We can answer this, and then maybe continue. Or do we take all the questions? Okay, let's take all the questions then.
So I recently the telcos are telling that tariff may go high, and I'm very sure it will affect their own level of service. What do you see? Because the reality, especially in our economy, is that the cost of things, especially because we are based on Forex, the cost of getting the service done is getting higher. What are you trying to do to ensure that you maintain the cost at the lower level? Because even from the conversation, to be able to give that customer at your own level, you must be able to sell at maybe 100 naira and all that. But with the way the conversation is going, and if it happens, that means the cost of tariff will go high. What are you going to try to do to ensure that accessibility and affordability is still maintained? And if you have the government in the room now, what are you going to tell them to ensure that we maintain accessibility and affordability? Thank you.
Let's start with the first question before we come back to Chinedu. I think the question is addressed to you, right? Okay, he can address that. Okay, so take a shot at it.
Okay, so the first question is more, how do we get internet to the grassroots in a sustainable way, that people in towns and villages, they'll be able to have access to internet? Great question, great value, but government has a significant role to play for that to happen. And we've started seeing that with the Honorable Minister announcing the 90,000 kilometers of fiber, the 774 project connecting all the local governments to the internet, great initiatives, but I think there needs to be a synergy between government and us here. We need to partner together in order to actualize that. And understand that internet business is not cheap. Infrastructure needs to be built. And we're not a charity organization. We need to make profit in order for us to grow. So you don't want to go to a town that you're not going to make money from. You have to make that revenue, you have to be profitable for you to grow. So, and that's where government role, imagine all our clinics are online. Imagine the volume of data that would drive all our primary school, secondary school, tertiary institution are all connected. These are government institutions. So, and if government is committed to that and they are ready to invest in it in a sustainable way, people here, all of us will make money out of it, and we can now serve the private sector within those small local governments. So it's a synergy, and government needs to be deliberate, intentional that this is what we're going to do, and this is the result in the next 5 years, 10 years. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think part of your question is that there is lack of continuity by government agencies as they move from, as they transition. Yes. So the issue is, honestly, this is a major problem. It's $1 million question. Obasanjo said Nigeria is the burial ground of good policies because we have good, excellent policies. Unfortunately, we don't implement, right? So you are a journalist. What I will do is challenge you guys, journalists, especially in the ICT ecosystem, to consistently follow up on critical, what is it called? To challenge government in terms of deployment or implementation of critical projects, initiatives in Nigeria, as long as there is no continuity. You know, there is National Broadband Plan of the last government. Is anybody hearing about that? There is lack of continuity. So I challenge you guys that are in the fourth realm to really, as journalists, push it hard, consistently ask questions about to government. The minister is saying 90,000 kilometers. Who is going to handle it? How far with the Galaxy backbone? There has been deployment over the years. They have spent almost $1 billion in Galaxy backbone. Who is asking the question? What is the status of that project? Are we ripe for a new project? You know, and to be honest with you, it's left for you guys in the media. From our own side, this is the kind of forum we bring together, and unfortunately, sometimes government people are not here to engage and say the problems. We can't solve the problem individually, but collectively, if we keep insisting through advocacy, you know, sensitization, letting government know that they shouldn't be running businesses, because some of them are going into businesses of building data centers, some of the state governors and all that. They shouldn't be doing that. They should allow the private sector to thrive. So, you know, so it's an advocacy thing. We hope that our nation changes. We'll continuously push. Chino, do you want to add something to it?
Yes, just a little addition to it. So as regards keeping the cost low, recently the price of solar and the price of fiber optics has gone down. So that has also helped us to be, like, as Naira is going, is it up or down? The cost of this equipment are going in the opposite direction. These materials are going in the opposite direction. So we're able to kind of average out on those things. Then this is not a very good idea, but we've also leveraged on used equipment. You get overseas. Used gear has also helped us to deploy what we would not naturally afford. Yeah.
Excellent. You can hear that. Thank you so much for that intervention. Any last word? Let me start from my right, Mukhtar. Any last word before we close, because we are out of time?
Yeah. The only thing that I would say is we have a lot of decision makers of big companies. Take a risk. Come down there to Kano, some part of the north. I think you would like it. Thank you for listening to us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for all the sponsors. This is the best event for us to say we need to collaborate more. We need to engage government to be responsible, regulators to step up. And for me, fiber cuts is really a major concern. If we can reduce that, our quality of service will be better. And main one, everybody's here. I think if we can reduce the number of fiber cuts, it will go a long way in us expanding and growing and collaborating more. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Any closing remark? Anything you want to say?
Yeah.
Last word.
Just, I think everybody, what we are saying. Collaboration is key. We should have more exchange points in all the locations. I don't know how you're going to make that happen, but it's very important because that's going to drag down the cost of everything. Thank you.
So thank you so much, everyone, for listening, and to my panelists, thank you so much. They sponsored themselves to come all the way to share their experiences. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.